So today I'm going to start building a roll cage for the Mark II Escort. Bit premature, but I need some fun in my life. So I'm going to crack on with it, and what I'm going to do is show you guys how I draw the design, how I measure it, how I then transfer them measurements analog onto the computer to then give us a printout of what length of tube I need to cut, where to mark it, where to bend it, how far to bend it, how far to rotate it, everything. So this isn't going to be to like any exact MSA specification or anything like that, but I'm going to have a bit of free scope to do what I like, seeing as this is going to be a road car, different track days in it. I'm not going to be competing in it, although I would like to get it as close to, or near as, or as good as MSA spec. So if in the future, God forbid I should ever get rid of it, which I won't, but if anybody did want to rally it, they could, or at least save them a lot of work, so there's minimal work for them to do it. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get on with it. First of all, I'll show you what software I'm using, and then we'll go on to the analog part with measuring tapes and pens and papers, old school, just as should be. Right, let's go. The software that I'm using is called BendTech Pro. This is quite a old copy. I bought this about 15 years ago, maybe 12, 15 years ago. But it allows you to basically draw your design on the screen using the pick points that you've measured, which I'll show you soon, and you can also cut out wraparounds for notching tubes, funny angles, all sorts of shit. It's a really good piece of kit, and I'd recommend it to anybody. This is kind of like a basic sort of look at what we're going to be doing in a minute, how we're going to measure our centres of where we want the bends to be. So let's get it fired up on the laptop and go. Okay, tools we're going to need for this bit: measuring tape, pen and a pad. So the first thing we're going to do is draw what shape we want to make with the tube. So looking at this, I'm going to make a platform for the roll cage to sit on at about the height of the pigeon shit welding on the inner sill that someone's done. There'll be a box there in the corner. I'm not too worried about that for now. You'll see why later. So I want to measure from where I want my roll hoop to sit on this top of this perch. Looking at, and that's it's going to come up, and then it's going to obviously come in, cross, and then the same the other side, back out, and then straight down to the box that's going to be on the other side in the corner there. So first thing we're going to do is do a sketch of what shape we want this hoop to be. So we're going to be coming straight up the A inside of the B pillar, and it's got to come in a bit up to the roof. So that'll be our first pick point, that's what it's called. So this is our start point, and then we're going to go vertically up to pick point number 1, and we're going to come across and up to pick point number 2, and then we're going to go straight across the roof. That'll be point number 3, and we're going to come down and out to match the other side. That's going to be point number 4, and then we're going to come straight back down again to the same point on the other side of the car for the end point, which will be number 5, which is our end point. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a measurement from the start point to point number 1. I want to go up, figure out what that is, and then from number 1 to number 2, you can't just measure like that diagonally, you have to go up. So you need to tell the computer how far up you want to go, and then how far in you want to go. and that will give us the location of this point. This one's easy because we're going to go straight across from there to number 3. That would be a straight, nice measurement, easy one to do. This one, so we're going to do opposite to this side. So we still need to go out, don't we, to get over to this point. So it's still going to be a distance from there out, but then we're going to go down. So this one, and so you can't measure it diagonally, so it's out and down, and it will land there. I'll show you on the computer when I do it. And then again, this one's nice and easy because it's just straight down. Right, so let me measure this and write all the measurements down, because I haven't got 17 pairs of fucking hands to do this. Right, back in a minute. One thing worth noting is that because it's an American program, it works in inches. Of course it does. So, easiest thing, hold the measuring tape where you want it to measure up. I want my bend to start where that B post bends round there, in front of the rear window there. So I'm going to come straight up, like that, and there, I reckon will be the centre of the bend is at 21 3/4 inches, I reckon. So that's going to be the centre of our bend. So it works to the centre of the tube, not the outside, not the inside, it's all in the middle. And being that it's 1.5 inch diameter tube, you need to take that into account, the diameter of your tube when you're measuring. So any of your measurements want to be, well, in my case, at least 3/4 inch, so halfway, half the diameter of the tube is where my points are going to be, centre of the tube, or this side. I always leave a little bit of wiggle room, so 1/4 inch or something is perfectly fine. You'll see when I come to fit it that you can pull it and push it around a little bit. It's better to have it a little bit loose than too tight, but yeah, let me measure this and then we'll go and put it on the computer. Apologies for the wanky camera angle, it's the best I can do with my Poundland tripod. So what we're going to do is figure out, fucking hell, it's falling over now, bastard thing. Right, what we want to try and do is figure out on our drawing how far across we've got to go at the top. So one way of doing this is use a spirit level or a straight edge. Come straight up. Of course it's too fucking long. We find something a bit shorter. Spirit level's going to be a bastard, and we've got a shorter one. So let's be a little bit clever about this. Instead of doing it on the inside of the car, we'll do it on the outside. So we're going to go up against the, so my tube's going to be on the inside here, up against that edge. So let's go to the inside of there, and then we can use the spirit level to get it straight and vertical, and then we can measure from here across to the centre where we want the centre of our tube to end up, here on our middle of our bend, because the radius is going to be about 5 inch radius. The middle of our bend will end up about here. So let's try and see how we get on with that, shall we? Okay, so it's up against the bottom. Slip level saying that we're upright there. And I'm going to measure across. So to the inside of there, we've got 5 inches. So we need to add another 3/4 inch on that for the centre of our pick point. I'm going to go a little bit more. I'm going to call it 6 inches to the centre of the tube, and that should end up nice and tight against this B pillar here. So then as it rolls around the radius, it'll follow the roof nicely, I reckon. So if we go 6 inches on that one, and then we can measure straight across the roof. So the rest of it's going to be exactly the same, other than, so straight across the ceiling to the other side over there. And then we're going to go do basically the reverse of that. We won't actually have to measure it because it's exactly the same, just back to front. I'll show you on the computer. That'll be the next clip in a moment. Yeah, some of you might have just realised in that last bit where I fucked up. where I was holding the spirit level against the edge of the sill on the outside of the car, measured up, and then in I added 3/4 of an inch to allow for the half the tube diameter. Well, technically I was measuring from the edge of the tube, wasn't I? So when I measured up, I should just measure back to the same point, because that'll be my distance coming in. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm just going to start now putting it onto the computer and show you. So I'll adjust that back to what it should be. I'm going to make it 5 1/4 inches, not 6. Alright, bear with me, it's been a little while since I used this. So this is like your kind of home screen after you've gone file, and then we're going to do a new assembly, which is what I've just clicked on. You can do a single tube, but that is like just for one piece. So if you want to build a whole roll cage or a chassis, pick assembly for your new file. Right, so the first thing we need to do is, as you'll see down here, it's asking me what material we're using and what die we're using in our tube bender. So I've got a drop down menu on here. For whatever reason, I haven't got my 1.5 inch die on here. So what we're going to need to do is go to tools at the top, and you've got one that says die library, and in here you can see the ones which are saved. So it's not in there, which is a fucking pain. So now, luckily on here they've got a list, OEM list, so you can literally just click and add rather than fanning around measuring stuff. So down here we've got add new, so let's try that. Add new OEM list. Right, here we go, getting somewhere now. So up here you've got to choose the model of your tube bender. So mine is a JD2 Model 2. There's loads of different ones on there. You've got all sorts of stuff, Pro Tools, all the Bailey, all the big names. If it's not on there, then it's probably not worth having. Model 2 JD2. Right, so the die I've got is a 4.5 inch radius by 1.5 inch diameter. So there we go, 4.5 inch radius by 1.5 inch tube. So I don't know why there's 2 of them, but let's just click that one, and then I think press the arrow. I'm going to change it to 1.5 inch die. Okay. All right, cool. It's added it to my list. Sweet. Right. Close that. Close that. I think we're good. So we should now be able to add down here. The die is not on there. That's brilliant. So let's sort this out. Die library. What am I doing wrong? Here we go. Oh, apply. Let's try that. And see. Yeah, now it's there. Stupid, wasn't it? Right. Material. Fucking camera in the way. Oh, we got 1.5 on there, so that's good. 1.5 inches, so that's the same. If you haven't got it on there, go to tools. Not going to spend too long talking about this. And then you've got tube, which you can add. Again, there, look, add new. And you can put in the wall thickness, the diameter, whether it's round, square, rectangle shape, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you can save it in here. We don't need to do that because I've already got it. Right, so now we've got that bit done. So we know what material we're using and we know what die we're using to bend it with. We're going to make a bent part, and according to our awesome picture, we've got, it's going to ask me how many bends there are. So we got, that's the start. So we're going to have 1 bend, 2, 3, 4 bends, and that bit straight. So there's 4 bends in it. So let's click on bent part, number of bends for the new part, 4. Okay, right. So it's asking me to select the first, to where to start. So I'm going to start in the middle on there. So that's our start point that we were talking about on our sketch. That's where we are. That's our first point. So I want to go straight up 21 3/4 inches. Okay, so it's already moving around. Select the next point of the part. Well, we want to go straight up. So pick points. Right, here we go. Sorry. So I was talking about pick points earlier. Over here, click on pick points and the screen will change. You've got these boxes here, right? So we're going to do the same. That's our first point. So we're going to click on that, select reference point. That is it, right? Selected. So we want to go up 21 3/4 inches. So over here, look, it says ceiling, towards the ceiling. Just click on that, see what happens. We want to go 21 point, so 3/4, so it'll be 0.75 of an inch. Apply. Oh look, it's put our second point in. Wicked. So clear values every time. So every time you've applied and our new pick points appeared on here, clear it. Because if you forget and the numbers are still in the box, when you come to do the next one, it'll fuck you right up. So now select reference point again. So now we move on to our point that we just made, point number 1. So that now we're here. So now from this point, we want to go up 17.5 and across 5.25, because I meant to change that and I didn't, did I? So we want to go to the ceiling again, 17.5 inches, and then we want to go to the right. So to the right, we want to go 5.25. Apply. Clear. Right, look, see now that was our start point. That's the one we made first that went straight up, and now we've ended up with this one up here, where we've just put them other measurements in. So now we click on the one we just made, which is this one. This one's easy, so we just want to go straight across to the right at 35.5 inches. But now that I've fucked up and missing that 3/4 of an inch, I'm going to need to change that and add 1.5 inches to that. So we want 37 inches across to the right. 37. Actually, no, we don't, because I measured that separately and it was 35.5 inches I wanted. So ignore that last load of bollocks I was talking just then. So apply, clear. You'll wonder why that's ended up coming down. You'll see in a minute. It's because it's 3D. These next ones will come down here. So now, right, so we've started here, we've come straight up, we've come up and in, now we've come across the roof. Now we want to go back down and out and then to the floor. So what we're going to do here is reverse of what we did over here. So I want to go out, so I still want to go to the right. Sorry, got to click where you want click that first. Now it knows where I'm starting from. So I want to go to the right. What was it? 5.25 inches, and I want to go down to the floor 17.5 this time. Apply, clear, and then our last point, nice and easy, we're just going to go straight down to the floor at 21 3/4, 0.75. Apply, clear. Right, now see if I can remember how you do this. You can join them all up to make it look like a tube. So assembly, if I can remember how to do it. Right, so that is how we make our design. Let me just figure this out quick and then we'll go. I do apologise, it's been a while since I've used this. Right, so now we've put all our pick points in by one at a time and we've made this weird shape. So now over here we're on pick points, we've just entered it all with our reference boxes, up, down, left, right, and start. Now we go to main, and the bit I said at the start about putting the bend, how many numbers of bends in, that's, you didn't need it at the start, you need it now though. So we want to make a bent part using these points. So we know it's got 4 bends in it, so it's got 4 bends. And now it will let you join them up. So one there, one there, one there, one there, number 3, number 4, and number 5. And now it's going to ask us what's the name of this part. So we're going to put Mark 2 Escort roll hoop. Save. Right, now it's gone grey, it's turned it into a line, and as you'll also see, it's put the radiuses of the bends in as well. There is a way of making this look like a bit of tube, but I can't remember how to do it. Let me have a fuck about with it. And I'm pretty sure it was like display or something like that it was called. But this is now telling you how much tube you need to cut and all this sort of stuff. So basically now we've made this design for this hoop. Oh, there it is, display mode. There you go. So now we've got a bit of tube that's supposed to be our roll hoop. So look at it from the front. There you go. So that is our roll hoop for the car. And then you can adjust it, so you look at it from the sides. So if you wanted, you could, as you come up and then go up and in, you can put a back on this bend as well, and it'll make it go up and in and back as well if you wanted it to. I don't for this one, but you might do, depending on what car you're building and what have you. So now with this, we can print the piece of paper off that tells us where to cut, mark, bend and all that malarkey. And we can actually go and make it. Let me figure out how, if I can get it up on the screen, and then I'll show you because it's taking me a little. Okay, so all we need to do is click on, or on parts up the top there, and it will come up with the part that you're making. You can, if you've got more than one, there'll be a list of them. You can pick which one you want. So we've only got one. Roll hoop, select setup sheet, which is there, and this will tell us, get that fucking box out of the way. This will tell us everything we need to know about making this part. So we're using the 1.5 inch die and 1.5 inch tube. We need to cut a length of tube at 113.259 inches. So I would just go 114 inches, just round it up, because we're always going to cut a bit off the end afterwards anyway. So we need to cut a bit of tube at 114 inches. And then we got bends number 1. So measuring from the start point, you got to measure 20.594 inches. So that's near as damn it, 20.6 inches. And you need to bend that at 17 degrees. So what we'll do first is get the tube, we'll mark from the start point all these measurements, so 20.6, 36, 70.5 and 90.4. We'll mark them on the tube, and then we can get it in the tube bender, and then we can bend them at these angles, and I'll show you how to do that. But that is a very basic quick run through of how to draw a roll hoop on BendTech. So we've cut our piece of 1.5" tube. I did alter it a bit. I widened it at the top after measuring and checking. So now we're, instead of 35.5 inches, I've gone 37.5. So off the computer, I've cut 116 inches off of my length of 1.5" tube. I've then measured from there, marked it with an S. You can draw a picture of a cock and balls, whatever you want for your start. Measure to your first mark, which is 20.6. So first mark down, second mark, all from the start point, third and fourth. Measure all your points from the start, and a nice big mark, sort of half around the tube. We're not going to be rotating this tube as we bend it at all, so just measure half way around the tube for each point is fine. Normally if you're rotating a bit of tube, you would mark it all the way around. You can find like a bit of tube that fits over and use that as a template to draw in it. A nice straight line is quite a good way of doing it. Right, let's get it in the tube bender and then we'll start bending the shit out of it, shall we? Right, so we've got the tube in the tube bender with our first mark lined up with the edge of the die. Can I make sure the torch is actually charged up? Fucks the hole. Right, so that's our first mark lined up with the edge of the die. Got the tube clamped in place. The last thing you want is when you're bending this for it to slip, because your bend will end up folding. So I've got some vice grips on it as well. Last thing I want is for this thing to fucking move and ruin the whole length of tube. Also, you can put a little bit of UB40 on the tube to help it slip through, but do not put it anywhere near the bit where it's gonna want to grip hold of it to drag it through the die, just so it slides on this bit. Right, let's bend this to 17 degrees. We have our pointer bolted on and zeroed with that nipped up. So in theory, we should be able to just go around to 17 degrees and then that should be good. 17 degrees. Okay, right, so before I let that go, what I want to do is make sure that when I pull this tube through for my next bend that it hasn't fucking moved. So the way I'm going to do that is, I shall show you 1 second. Let me get this set up. So the way I'm going to stop that from twisting when I release that pressure is I've clamped on my angle finder holder, which basically clamps to the tube. It's got a flat surface. Put my angle finder onto it, and then I can turn that on and zero it. So now I know that when I release this bend and slide it forward to the next one, I can rotate the tube to get that at zero once it's pinched up, then clamp it all back in place again and then do my next bend, knowing that they're all going to be on the same plane. So let's give that a go and see how bad we can fuck this up, shall we? Right, so we've got the tube clamped in on the next bend. It's on 0.3 of a degree off, but I fannied around with it for ages, and close enough is good enough, as it will move anyway as soon as I start bending this. So let's have a go and see how this ends up. So we want 73 degrees. Let's go for it. 73, so now what we need to do is move my angle finder back and zero it again, because we don't want the next bend to be fucking miles off. Let's go back to there, zero the angle finder, then we can release pressure. That's our second bend done. Undo this. There's a bit of a juggling act sometimes. Move our tube through. Lovely looking bend, if I do say so myself. To the next mark on our tube, which is there. Get this bastard on. And we can take up a little bit of the tension. See where we are. So really, it's not actually too bad. Back a little bit. So we go off with the, go back a top. Get that mark lined up with easier to die. Get some pressure under it, hold it in place. So it's bang on the mark. Now I can rotate it round to get that in the right place, and then we can do the next bend and so on and so forth. So let's fanny around doing that and then see what we end up with. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, does it fit? Well, let's go and take a look, shall we? With the aid of a bit of a ratchet strap to pull the bottoms together a little bit to fit her in there. So I was saying about it being a little bit too tight, better than loose. It fits lovely, nice and snug up against the B post, all the way up. We've got our first bend, follows the B post up, right bang up against the roof where I want it. I'm actually going to weld a tab on there to bolt into that hole, I reckon, and that will help me as a reference both sides to keep this thing square while I'm dicking about. And obviously using that as a temporary, obviously we're going to have our blocks in us squares in the corner there. Them stilts and boxes the roll cage is going to be welded to will be same wall thickness, 3mm as the tube, and they're also going to take my seal stands. I'm going to drill through the seal from outside and bring the tube all the way through into the box and weld it on the inside as well to strengthen that up there and at the front also once the front hoop's in. But I reckon we could call that a success. Looks pretty trick, fits lovely, nice and tight all the way around. Now we can make a start on making our door bars to go in, but I reckon that fits a treat. So we'll call that a good job. Right, thanks for watching. Like I said before, I don't make videos that often, but when I do, if you press the subscribe thing, it'll let you know when the next one comes up, when I'm making the next bit. Hope this has been of help. Not saying this is the way to do it, right or wrong way to do it, this is the way I do it. If I can help somebody, that's the whole idea of making these videos. So, see you on the next one. Later, dudes.